Why should we know how to use sexual energy? According to sexologists, when a man approaches 40 years of age, certain physical changes begin to become visible in him. But these changes are not as radical as they are in the case of women when they reach menopause. But they happen to a large majority of men, and these changes come slowly, the main one being the decrease in the production of hormones, an issue called andropause. Obviously, this constitutes a tremendously worrying and distressing issue, since, from this phenomenon, erectile dysfunction begins to manifest itself, generating terrible conflicts with her partner. The problem is also known as the midlife crisis or the midday demon, Lu Demon Du Midi, which is accompanied by a list of psychological manifestations that usually cause actions with opposite effects and unsuspected paradoxes. What is pursued, such as, for example, seeking passionate conquests to reaffirm sexual security, vain outbursts, channeled through exercise and diet to reduce the belly, dark glasses to hide dark circles, decision to recover youthful vigor through love affairs. A question that leans more towards fantasy than reality. They feel more sexy than ever. They try to create new, deeper, and more open friendships. They buy designer clothes and colors that were inconceivable until now in their wardrobe. The family car is changed for one with greater power, and instead of the boleros of yesteryear, he begins to listen to pop music, etc., etc. We can study this phenomenon of human sexology from two different angles. One from a purely official point of view, as studied in the Faculty of Medicine, the other from the Gnostic point of view. And we are going to face this issue in the light of universal Gnosticism, since, in truth, the defined Gnostic currents know sexology in depth. First of all, we must understand that in the course of a man's existence, 3 testicular zones manifest in him. The first is activated during the first 7 years of its existence, which produces certain cells that allow it to exist, certain principles that sustain it vitally. The second zone, or testicular layer, produces certain cells in the male's body that completely specify and define his sex. This second layer develops between approximately 7 and 14 years of age. After this time, the development of the third testicular layer begins, which goes between 14 and 21 years of age. This layer produces zoosperms, but they are not mature enough. Therefore, it is serious for an adolescent to copulate and have sexual relations, because the third testicular layer has not yet fulfilled its natural processes of evolution or development. Unquestionably, intercourse is not recommended for adolescents. It is not correct for someone who passes into adolescence to copulate. It is obvious that intercourse for these types of organisms that have not completed the third testicular zone, unquestionably, irrefutably brings very serious harm to the health of the body and the mind. These damages, although they are not initially felt during youth, are felt in maturity and old age. Thus we see that today it is normal for any man to begin to lose his virility between the ages of 40 and 50, and this is what has been called andropause. Why andropause? What is its cause? Sexual abuse during adolescence and even early childhood is the cause that causes erectile dysfunction at the age of maturity. Unfortunately, today, many 12 and 13-year-old children are already copulating, and those who are not copulating commit the crime of masturbating, without knowing that with masturbation they eliminate their hormones, degenerate their brain, atrophy their pineal gland, etc. This causes the third testicular layer to degenerate prematurely and lose sexual potency between the ages of 40 and 50, becoming true victims of life. If the man wants to avoid reaching that unfortunate state in which his gonads decrease hormonal production, it is good that he understands all these aspects of sex. It is good that he knows what sex is. That adolescents cohabit is absurd, because their organisms have not finished developing the third testicular zone. The development in and of itself of this third layer comes to an end at the age of 21. That is when the age of majority truly begins, the responsible age, as has been said. Unfortunately, children and adolescents usually do not have a specific sexual orientation, and without having completed the development of the third testicular layer, they squander their hormonal capital, they spend their virile potency, then andropause arises in middle age.